Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience tuning in at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad you all can be with us. Also, tuning into our online affiliates around the world, we're glad you all could join us as well. We're excited to welcome award-winning author Hena Khan to our podcast today. She's celebrating her brand-new book called Drawing Deena. This is a great book, not only, of course, for young readers, but all of us when it comes to embracing our creativity and also being able to share our voice and creative talents with the world. We'll talk to Hena not only about that journey for herself, but what it's been like for her to create characters that readers enjoy and see themselves in. We also will remind you how you can stay connected with Hena as well. Hena, thank you again for the time today. Really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, Hena, this is a beautiful book. It's beautiful to look at, and the story in it, I think, is so great for all ages. And so I want to ask you, what has it been like for you already to see the way that people are responding to Drawing Deena?
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you mentioned all ages, because that's something that I feel strongly about, that even though I'm technically writing for children, I really hope readers of all ages and backgrounds can connect with the story, because I think a lot of the themes in it really are universal, and a lot of the topics that I include are things that I'm thinking about and grappling with as an adult. And it's made me so happy to see early reviews from the industry and from readers just saying wonderful things about how they feel seen in this book and how they've enjoyed, connecting with Deena as a character.
Well, and I think that is the cool thing about it. And you've been able to do this in your other work as well, Hena. So I want to talk about that, because one of the things that in promoting this book, of course, you've been able to talk about Deena embracing her voice. What has it been like for you to see how you've been able to embrace your own voice and how people responded to that?
Yeah, it's incredible, because I think at the beginning I suffered imposter syndrome, like so many creative people. You're like, well, that was fun. I wrote a book, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that again. And over time to realize, okay, this is actually a career now, and I'm an author, and I'm writing these stories, and people want them and wait for them. So it is amazing and it feels just like the greatest opportunity to be able to share stories. And of course, as I evolve, I'm changing and growing as a writer too, and learning how to do it better, hopefully. But it really is such an honor to have readers out there, hold my books and read my books and enjoy them.
I love that. So for yourself then, when did you realize it then? When did you realize for yourself that writing was that gift for yourself?
Oh, well, it was something that I've always wanted to do and done in one form or another, whether it was, writing for a school newspaper or technical documents for public health organizations. But creative writing for me and for kids especially really started when I was a mother. And I realized when I searched for books for my son that included characters who looked like him, they were really hard to come by. And it made me think a lot about the books I read as a child. And even though I love them, I never saw characters who looked like me or my family. And that's what really woke me up to the idea of telling these stories and filling that gap so that, we can all be included.
Yeah. I think that is the big thing. So when it comes to Drawing Deena, how did Deena come to you as a character? What was it about this character that spoke to you?
I think, anxiety was something that was on my mind, and the fact that it is something that, more and more children are being diagnosed with. And like Deena, I found a cracked tooth from clenching my teeth at night, and I think my anxiety is on the increase. So I was thinking a lot about that and how children navigate that, especially if they don't understand what they're feeling or why they're feeling the way they do. And how sometimes as parents we can easily miss the signs of anxiety in our children because we don't necessarily, that doesn't come to mind. They're young. What do they have to be worried about? But also, I think as an artist now, and like you mentioned, because I've been doing this for a while, I am thinking about the way I engage with my art, how I'm creating, what I'm creating, how I'm engaging with social media, and how that affects me. So all of that was on my mind when I thought about creating this character, Deena, who is dealing with some of these very same things as me.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the fact that, as we are thinking about this book, I mean, creativity is a big part of this, but also, of course, the challenges that can come with social media. And I love, is the character's name, is it pronounced Parissa?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Parissa.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great conversation between Parissa and Deena in the book, and I love it as Deena is able to kind of stand up for herself, and I love the thing that she says to Parissa, and I want to talk to you about it, where she says, literally everything about you is dramatic. You want everyone to look at you in real life and online. And I want to talk about that because this book does kind of tackle that as well, right? How we all kind of, create this image sometimes on social media that may not necessarily reflect, the whole of our lives. What was it like for you to kind of tackle that in this book too?
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So, I think for kids sometimes who are so eager to get online, right? They're waiting for permission to join Instagram or Snapchat or whatever it is. I think they have the chance to be a bit more critical because they're not quite immersed yet, and that's where Deena is, where she sees the transformation that the media has sort of had on her cousin and the way she's presenting herself with all the selfies and chasing the likes and reveling in it. And it's so natural, right? We all want the attention, and it can be really tricky. And so Deena's trying to understand how that works and how it, she realizes it very quickly that it affects her. And she's thinking about these bigger things, like what does that mean? What is the difference between being popular and being good? How does it affect your art and the time that it even takes? What does that take away from us as creative people? So big ideas that, in a simplified way for kids to be able to understand too, but there's just so much there for all of us to unpack and think about with regards to our own relationships to social media and the way we choose to present ourselves and what that means.
I love that. The other character, is it pronounced Lucia, Hena?
Lucia, yes. Yes.
Yeah, Lucia. Well, and then there's also on the other side of that spectrum, you have Lucia and Deena, and of course how we can all fall into the trappings of social media. And Deena having to realize that, and the idea of being able to forgive and move on. Why was that important for you also to make sure that we talked about as well? Because no matter our age, sometimes we're going to do things that may not be necessarily the right thing or perceived the right way. What was it like for you to kind of talk about the gift of forgiveness in this book?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think a lot of times, the small things that we do maybe to hurt someone. In this case, Deena had promised her friend Lucia that she would wait to join social media when they were both allowed to, and then behind her back, she decided to test the waters. And she did it anonymously, and she wasn't really thinking about her friend, but it did hurt her. And I felt like it was important to model that behavior that, even if we unintentionally hurt someone, it's so easy to dig in and be like, well, it's not my fault, or I didn't mean it. But it does take a bigger person to sort of take that pain that you've caused and to own it and to apologize. So I wanted Deena to have that moment with her friend, and her friend is just so sweet and loving that, and also the guilt when your friend does something for you in spite of being angry at you, realizing that maybe you weren't the best friend was what was going on in Deena's head. Exactly. And so I wanted her to have this, redeem herself.
Yeah. Well, I hope this whets our audience appetite, Hena, because it is such a great book. It's fun, entertaining, but also, I think, great lessons, as I mentioned earlier, for all ages. Again, number one, Hena Khan has been our guest. Her new book is Drawing Deena. You, of course, can be able to order it through our friends at Amazon.com or through your favorite local bookstore. And, Hena, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Oh, thank you. They can find me online at Hena Khan Books, also my website, HenaKhan.com. You can find all my books, and you can contact me through there as well.
All right. Well, Hena, congratulations to you again. Really appreciate you starting off the day with us and looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you. Thank you so much for reading and for this chat.
You're more than welcome. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's go make today amazing. Take care.